Do you remember when architect Paul R. Williams revitalized the Beverly Hills Hotel, making it the golden age icon that we know today? I do. It was 1941. Billie Holiday recorded God Bless the Child. Orson Welles directed and starred in Citizen Kane. The United Service Organization, or USO, launched to provide live entertainment for the military during the war, and Hernando Courtright, VP of the Bank of America, purchased the Beverly Hills Hotel with his friends, actress Irene Dunne and Loretta Young, as well as Warner Brothers studio co-founder Harry Warner. The hotel had been originally commissioned by American hotelier and socialite Margaret J. Anderson, along with her son Stanley, who had been managing the Hollywood Hotel on Hollywood Boulevard at the time. The Hollywood film industry had just started taking off when the Beverly Hills Hotel, which had originally been designed by Elmer Gray, opened its doors on May 12, 1912. By 1914, the hotel was a crowd favorite, with Hollywood's elite like Charlie Chaplin, Canadian Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks, Gloria Swanson, and Rudolph Valentino. The hotel changed hands in 1928 and was owned by the Interstate Company, who closed its doors during the Great Depression, only leasing out the bungalows. It reopened in 1932 with Bank of America funding. As the Golden Age took over, the hotel shone brighter than ever. Fred Astaire could be found reading by the pool. Under Hernando's ownership, the Polo Lounge was established, along with the requirement that all women wear skirts. Marlene Dietrich, a longtime patron of the hotel, refused to abide by that rule. But the Polo Lounge wasn't the only change that Hernando made. Amid the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, he knew that the hotel needed an updated look to appease his star-studded clientele. And Paul R. Williams was just the man for that job. Paul Revere Williams was born on February 18, 1894 in Los Angeles. His father, Chester, passed away from tuberculosis when Paul was 2. His mother, Lila, would be taken by the same illness just 2 years later, leaving Paul and his brother Chester orphaned and in foster care. Paul was eventually adopted by C.I. Clarkson and his wife, who noted Paul's immense talent and ensured that he received the education he needed to thrive. And despite a difficult start in life, Paul persevered and ended up at the Los Angeles School of Art and Design before studying architectural engineering at the University of Southern California. And it was while working on his degrees that Paul married Della Mae Givens on June 27, 1917. In 1921, he became the first certified Black architect west of the Mississippi, and 2 years later, he became the first Black member of the American Institute of Architects. He had started his own architectural firm, and as his business grew, so did his family. Together, Paul and Della welcomed Paul Revere Williams Jr. on June 30, 1925. Paul Jr. sadly left the world the same day that he was brought into it. They then welcomed Marilyn Frances Williams on Christmas Day, 1926, and Norma Lucille Williams on September 18, 1928. Before owning his own firm, Paul had worked for LA architect John C. Williams, where he honed his skills as an expert draftsman. Paul was famously known for his ability to sketch upside down, a skill he had to develop as many of his white clients didn't feel comfortable sitting next to a Black man. By sketching upside down, he was able to draw their ideas while sitting across from them. But they didn't feel uncomfortable living in a beautiful home that he designed for them. Now did they? Anyway, throughout the 20s and 30s, Paul became a well-known architect of the stars, building out a robust portfolio of both residential and commercial spaces. In 1926, he designed the 28th Street YMCA, which was designed by Black designers for the use of Black residents during the period of racial segregation in LA. 2 years later, he designed the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, another LA landmark still standing today. As the Great Depression swept the world, not all were affected, and Paul still found work with Luella Garvey, the wife of a steel magnate. And then Hollywood soon came knocking as he built an oasis in Beverly Hills for actor Lon Chaney. Lon passed away before moving into the home, and his widow refused to live in it. It was sold to a lawyer from Chicago for $80,000, which would be around $1.7 million today, although the home's current value is set at $15 million. In 1932, he designed the Founders Church of Religious Sciences with its massive domed auditorium. Actor Jay Pauley commissioned a Georgia Mission-style house from Paul in 1935. It would later go on to be owned by Baron Hilton. And then in 1941, he was brought on to bring the Beverly Hills Hotel into a new era. The overhaul took the better part of the decade, with Paul designing the Crescent Wing expansion, which included the grand entrance, poolside cabanas, and crystal ballroom. He also redesigned the infamous Polo Lounge, fountain coffee room, and lobby. And he wasn't only responsible for the signature pink and green color palette that the Beverly Hills Hotel is known for today. No, that iconic Beverly Hills Hotel signature that adorns the front of the building in every inch of letterhead, that's Paul's handwriting. So much of what has made the Beverly Hills Hotel an emblematic fixture of Hollywood came from Paul. It was an immense display of how incredibly diverse his talents were, and yet he wasn't even allowed to enjoy a meal in the poolside cabanas that he designed. Segregation was at its peak in LA while Paul was working on the Beverly Hills Hotel along with the homes of Hollywood stars. He wasn't allowed to stay at the hotels he dreamt up or legally allowed to live in the neighborhoods that he helped build. At the very start of his career, a teacher told him, "Your own people can't afford you and white clients won't hire you." There were no black architects to mentor him, so he became what he needed, knowing that for every home he built, he was opening doors for future generations. Early on in his career, Paul said, "Virtually everything pertaining to my professional life during those early years was influenced by my need to offset race prejudice, by my effort to force white people to consider me as an individual rather than the member of a race. I encountered irreconcilables who simply refused to give me a hearing, but on the whole, I have been treated with amazing fairness." And I suppose at that time, being given any ounce of opportunity would have been seen as fair. But the fact that he would walk through job sites with his hands clasped behind his back, not knowing if anyone would want to shake his hand, waiting for someone to extend their hand first, doesn't seem very fair at all. But due to his perseverance and immense talent, Paul's vision far surpassed the boundaries of LA. He built homes for stars like Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz in Palm Springs, Cary Grant and Frank Sinatra in Beverly Hills. He was part of the multi-firm theme building project at LAX, which resulted in one of the most iconic buildings in LA. You know it. In 1957, he became the first Black member of the American Institute of Architects College of Fellows for his notable contribution to public service, which is fitting since he did once say, "Expensive homes are my business and social housing is my hobby." He also received multiple honorary doctorates, a Doctor of Science from Lincoln University of Missouri, a Doctor of Architecture from Howard University, and a Doctor of Arts from the Tuskegee Institute. In 1962, he became a board member at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. His friend Danny Thomas had raised the funds for the hospital over the course of a decade with the idea that no child would be turned away regardless of income or skin color. The hospital staff would also be integrated, an idea that was basically unheard of at the time in segregated Memphis. Paul designed the hospital free of charge. After almost 60 years with a pencil in hand, Paul retired in 1973. He sadly passed away on June 23, 1980 at the age of 85. His funeral was held at the First AME Church, which he designed. Over the course of his career, Paul designed over 3,000 buildings and homes across the United States with structures like the 28th Street YMCA, the Angelus Funeral Home, and the Second Baptist Church being listed on the National Registry of Historic Places. The Angelus Funeral Home was the first Black-owned business to be incorporated in California and has been repurposed into affordable housing. I wanted you to see this room. It's stunning. In 2017, the AIA awarded Paul its gold medal. In his presentation for why Paul deserved the award, architect Phil Freeland quoted a passage from one of Paul's articles. "I came to realize that I was being condemned not by lack of ability but by my color. I passed through successive stages of bewilderment, inarticulate protest, resentment, and finally reconciliation to the status of my race. Eventually, however, as I grew older and thought more clearly, I found in my condition an incentive to personal accomplishment and inspiring challenge. Without having the wish to show them, I developed a fierce desire to show myself. I wanted to vindicate every ability I had. I wanted to acquire new abilities. I wanted to prove that I, as an individual, deserved a place in the world." It was originally thought that Paul's archive of over 10,000 drawings had been destroyed in the 1992 LA riots, but thankfully his granddaughter, Karen Elise Hudson, had his archive in safekeeping. She has published some of his archive in her book, Paul R. Williams, Classic Hollywood Style, and has said, "The day he celebrated other than February is a day that I will be really happy." And so today we celebrate Paul. We celebrate the beauty and glamour that he brought to LA. We celebrate the fact that he was a pioneer whose homes are now highly sought after, rarely going on the market, and when they do, they are purchased with haste. We celebrate the fact that the LA Conservancy is working towards preserving Paul's civic work so that his historic buildings like the Stanley Moss Courthouse will stand for many more generations. If you didn't already know the name and the face of the man behind one of Hollywood's most iconic logos, you do now, and you will hopefully celebrate him whenever you think of the timeless elegance that he brought to Hollywood. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please save it and share it with your friends. It really does help spread the good word of the cult. Also, don't forget to follow me over on the Tube and the Gram just in case. I also have a bulletin board on TikTok where I post little updates. Good day, and may the cult be with you.